just did not believe me. He came in, his cholesterol was 120 or 15. The first time I saw him maybe 5 years ago, and I said, your cholesterol is too low. Well, that's good. You know, I know it's good. No, it's not good. Jim, you need to get it up. I gave him a book to read. He read the book. Now, people believe the printed word, so I need to write a book here. But he read this book, and basically the doctor said, you know, he's a preventive care physician. He said the same thing. He said a cholesterol over or under 140 indicates that you have autoimmune suppression going on. The body is very, very suppressed. So he read that, and he called me up, and he was like, "Rah!" He's in a panic. You know, how do I get my cholesterol up? I said, you balance your body chemistry by balancing your proteins to fats and carbohydrates. Just what I told you to do will do it. So we did bring his cholesterol up over the course of about 6 months to about 145.
Yes, but Deborah, autoimmune suppression.
Yes. What is that?
Yes.
Well, your immune system has an automatic pilot, so to speak. And hopefully, if you have a really good, healthy immune system, which again comes back to that whole endocrine system, then in fact you will produce the hormones that you need to balance and regulate your immune system or your glandulars. So if you have an autoimmune system that doesn't go on automatic pilot when it's introduced to a bacteria or a virus, you know, or a stressor, then you become sick. And something will happen to you. You'll end up with a chronic health problem. So, like, you're exposed to a lot of people in your practice, and so am I. I mean, I have people come in all the time, oh, I have a terrible cold, don't come near me. And I hug a lot of my clients, you know. Oh, hi, how you doing? Oh, goodbye, nice to see you, you know, be well. And I tell people all the time I don't get colds. I just don't get colds, and I don't get flus. I might get a sinus infection if I do too much sugar, but I do not get colds or flus. It's just not my body, you know, I don't catch them. And you know, there are people who get every cold or every flu or every bug that comes along.
Actually, that's true.
And they have what we call lowered immunity. So there's autoimmunity suppression going on, but normally when it goes into an autoimmune suppressed state, that means that basically an organ or system is chronically suppressed.
I see.
And that's a secondary reaction to things like chronic fatigue, or when you're tired, you know, tired a lot of the time, or you have peaks and lows like manic, you know, I'm feeling good one day, I feel really bad the next. I feel good one day, I feel bad the next. If there's fatigue onset, then that's a sign that your body's giving you. It's a symptom, simply a symptom that something's wrong. Being fatigued is not a disease. Okay, it's just a symptom that there's a system being taxed. So.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
It just makes it so clear as you sit down and delineate it for us, which is good. Now, triglycerides, I would imagine, have a certain count also.
Yes, they do. And I see more lowered triglycerides than anything. For instance, I often see people with a triglyceride level of 40 or 45 or 50, which means that they've been very suppressed for a longer period of time. And a normal triglyceride level is around 110. Okay, it shouldn't be much higher than 120, and it really shouldn't be under 90. So when you look at your blood value, it should be around 100 to 110. And if you see triglycerides up around 150 or 60, now you're still in the normal ranges, but you're getting at the high end here.
Oh, I see.
So you're asking for problems. It means the blood's starting to thicken up a little bit. You're turning into pudding, you know. It's not a good thing. Only when it's in a jello. But what you have here then, if you have lowered triglycerides, like around 45 or 50, is again autoimmune suppression. Now, if you see both triglycerides, cholesterol, and LDLs that are low, this person's in hot water. They're on their last little leg. They're like a pelican hanging there, you know. Hello, please somebody help my system. You know, they need assistance quickly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
so you're saying triglycerides can be too low also?
They can, and if you see lowered triglycerides specifically, it is an indicator that you are missing all of the B vitamins to a degree, and that would be B1, B2, B6, B12, and folic acid. And those B vitamins are what we call oxygenators in the body. They carry oxygen into the cells. It would also be a strong indicator that you're missing polyunsaturated fats. So that would be like your plant sources, your raw seeds, raw nuts, your oils from those seeds and nuts, avocados, olives, and cold water fish. So you need to increase those sources. And then if your triglycerides are low, it would indicate that you're missing specific minerals too, but that's very hard to deduce if you don't do a hair tissue test. And
I see. That was my next question. You read me.
That, yeah.
You read me. I was about to say, can an average person just get up one morning and know that their triglycerides are too low? But as you just said, you need a hair analysis test.
Well, to check your minerals. Not
Okay.
for triglycerides. At the end of this, we give some really good information here, and I'll tell people to take out their pens, but there's a place, or there's a new kit that drugstores are carrying for people to check their cholesterol levels at home, which makes it very affordable and very easy to do, and it takes 15 minutes to get the results. So we'll
Fascinating.
give that information to our viewers momentarily.
LDL count.
LDL, your LDL is your total blood fat circulating in the bloodstream.
Okay.
So that is a compilation of all your fats together, the bad guys. Potential bad guys, I should
Potential
say.
bad guys,
The potential
okay.
bad guys. So that would give you a compilation of the total, and they'll give you usually a ratio of your cholesterol to your LDL to your HDL count, which puts you in a risk percentile. So there's a differential count that you'll get that balances all three against the one, and it tells you that you're at a 10% risk for developing heart disease, a 20, a 30, a 40, a 100. So your LDLs, if they're high, you're in trouble, because that means that you have been in this position for a very long time. Your LDLs just don't go up overnight because you had a high saturated fat meal the night before. Which brings me to a sidebar, Kurt. A lot of people will say, oh, can't my cholesterol be that high because I ate lobster and butter the night before I had my blood test done? And that can elevate your cholesterol count, but only by about 20 points. So if you have a cholesterol of 240, without that lobster and butter dinner, you still probably be around 220.
Oh, I see.
So a good thing to know is if you get your blood workup done, don't do a high saturated fat or a big pasta meal the night before, because that could drive up your triglycerides. And the butters, or the fats, or the big steak with the buttered potato could drive up your cholesterol.
Oh, I see.
A little bit, not a lot though.
Okay. Well, I got you on the alphabet, LDLs and
Okay.
the HDLs.
The HDLs are the good blood fats, and those are the competitors. And what's happening in America is typically 9 times out of 10, when I look at patients, I see that their LDLs are suppressed, or their HDLs are suppressed. And HDLs, talk about the happy blood fats. The HDLs are the happy ones. We want that number to be high, and that stands for high density lipoproteins. So the HDLs should always be up around 70. Now, in people who exercise consistently, you normally see elevated HDLs. People who get enough vitamin C bring up their HDLs, and people who use enough of those mono and polyunsaturated oils in comparison to saturated fat in their diet will also help to drive up their HDLs. HDLs are hard to bring up. Actually, once, let's say for instance you have a profile, or someone presents with a profile of high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and high LDLs, and their HDLs are low. Now you're looking at this person going, walking heart attack. You know, we're in trouble here. This could really create a lot of stress on the body. So now you attempt to help that person bring down all of those negative blood fats, the triglycerides, cholesterol, and LDLs. And when you do that, normally you also drive down the HDL temporarily. You know, everything comes down. It's like all of them go out of the body at the same time. And then you have to build the HDLs back up. So again, if you take enough vitamin C, you'll help to drive it up a little bit. Exercise is so important. You know, it's just, people ask me all the time, what's more important, my diet or exercise? And I'm a nutritionist. You know, I'm a big believer, a firm believer in foods being therapeutic and healing. And I've seen amazing things happen with people's bodies just by balancing their body chemistry with food. It's so simple. But I also see amazing results and statistics that show exercise as being so vital. You know, if you exercise, you decrease your risk of cancer because it increases your T cell count and your B cell count. When you exercise or you do something, you know, that's somewhat jarring or resistant, where you work against a machine or you pound on the pavement, run or walk, you increase actually your bone marrow's production of what we call the B lymphocytes, which increases immunity. You know, it causes the bile acids in the liver and gallbladder to be excreted. A lot of people exercise, they have great bowel movements, you know, within a couple hours. That means bile acids are being produced, and bile acids break down what? Lipids, fats, cholesterol, triglycerides, LDLs. And exercise drives up the HDLs, the happy lipoproteins, so, or lipofats. So, you know, it's just, you need to do both. You need to know how to do it. People are so confused because there's a lot of misinformation out there.
So you're probably going to lead to or segue into the fact that HDLs can be too low also.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
And when you see an HDL of, say, 45 or 50, that's not good. I'll see some people down in the 30s and 25s. It's like, oh boy, you've never exercised in your life, have you? You don't eat fruit either, huh? You know, and they're like, no, no, no. So and they don't consume oils, and that's more typical in women than not. And in women actually who exercise a great deal, I'll see an LDL or HDL count of maybe 60 or 50. But once you add that oil to their diet, that good oil, and this is it right here. This is the good oil we're talking. This is just one brand, okay? This is called Essential Balance, and it's made by Arrowhead Mills, which is a very trusted company in the health food industry. It has what we call the omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids. And these fatty acids come from plant extracts. There's, I think, flaxseed, sunflower, sesame, pumpkin, and borage oil in this particular product. And there are some other, you know, kind of copycat oils out there that are equally as good. Everybody needs all of the omegas. Everybody needs different portions of those omegas. So I may need more of the omega-6. You may need more omega-3. It's very hard to determine what you need more of. You can simply go by how you feel and how your HDLs come up. So this oil is what I want people to encourage people to start putting into their diet. If you start to do that, you'll see that those good, happy blood fats start to rise a little bit. Not to be excessive. I'm not talking about, you know, doing this with this oil, but simply adding like 2 teaspoons a day to your food 3 times a day. You know, something like that. And start out low if you're nervous about fats and oils, and reduce the saturated fat.
I think that's essential. Well, not
Yeah, I
no
think
pun,
that's essential, yeah.
essential oil.
Yes.
That's really good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really good. Okay.
This is what is missing in the American diet, and this
Okay.
is why people have so much fatigue, so much constipation. Just one of the reasons. There are a myriad of reasons, but and certainly have problems burning fat. You need, you know, good oils to help the body burn the saturated fatty acid stores, and these good oils help to drive down your cholesterols and your LDLs especially.
Tell us the name one more time.
It's called Essential Balance by
Okay.
Arrowhead Mills, and
Good.
you know it's hard to find. Sometimes we carry it over at my company, but most health food stores carry it or can get it for you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What can one do to help bring down high cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDLs?
Oh, there's so much. First of all, you need to talk about your diet.
Okay.
Balancing the diet is most important, and you need to make sure that you start getting fiber in. Now, most Americans, Kurt, I'd say consume 5 grams of fiber a day, maybe 10 if they're lucky. Even people that I see in my practice who are pretty savvy about, you know, diet, they've done a great deal of reading, they really try to educate themselves. When I calculate their grams of fiber, they're maybe at 15 to 20 a day. And the American Dietetic Association, as well as the American Cancer Society or Association, both concur that we need at least 30 grams plus a day. How do you get that much? Ooh. Well, you're not going to sit down and drink a bowl of Metamucil every day or eat a bowl of Metamucil. At least I wouldn't. So you can do that by consuming the following. Maybe everybody wants to take a pen and kind of write this down. But you can actually take your count from your fiber foods, like your fruits and your vegetables. Let's say you do 4 servings of fruits a day with the skin on. You're going to get about 12 grams of fiber there. If you do, let's say, 4 to 6 servings of vegetables a day, you're going to get between 8 and 12 grams of fiber there. And what's a serving? You know, a piece of fruit is a serving, a half a cup of vegetables. So we're talking 4 to 6 cups of vegetables a day. Will give you about 12 grams of fiber a day. So now we've got 24 collectively. And if you add in whole grains, like your proteins, or the whole grains, like your fiber foods, your legumes and your rices and your lentils and your peas and things like that, you'll find that you can bring it up also. Okay?
Okay.
So, the one thing I want to tell people to do is to drink water, because if people don't drink water, are we ending here?
It looks like we're getting to a point where they're starting to speed us up a little bit, so
Okay.
try to get it in as much as
So
you
let's
can.
do water, and there's some supplements we can talk about. Digestive enzymes and ox bile would be great.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
You're
There's so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. We'll talk about this more later.
There's so much more I'm sure Deborah wanted to tell us, but what can I tell you? It's the
Do
end
oat
of an-
bran.
What?
Oat bran.
Oat bran. Oat bran we close with. Thank you very much. This is Kurt Hill, your host. And as always, Deborah Arneson gives us such great information, and we learn. My pleasure. See you again. Thank you very much. This is Health Exposure. Very good.